Yo guys, this is Nate, and I'm back for another audio commentary for WCReplays.com, and today I have finally pulled together a good solo 1 versus 1 game for you guys. So let's go ahead and get this replay opened. 1 XP, pause at the 15-second mark, fog of war on under my vision, will slide. Game is on Turtle Rock, and the players are me, will slide. Currently level 18 Undead versus IRZ torqc-ko something. Who is, I think, level 21, random player. When I played him, though, he chose Orc. Alright, so I've got the game paused at 15 seconds. Now, in this game, basically, I'm going to be demonstrating what all those Orc players complain about when they talk about Undead Hero Nuke. Because basically, as you'll see, this game goes back and forth quite a bit, but he's really got a big advantage, and he loses it due to the fact that I have my crazy hero nuke. Because I get level 6 Lich, level 6 DK, as you will see, and that is quite deadly for Orc players. So anyway, hopefully you guys have reached the 15-second mark, so let's unpause in 3, 2, 1, unpause. Now, I got all you guys' feedback. Looks like everybody liked Ed from those who wish to speak. So I'm going to be trying to get him over here to do a couple more dual commentaries, hopefully within the next few days, so you guys can look forward to that. So anyway, I'm just going Fiends here. I've been trying to go Fiends a lot more lately, simply because I don't know, I just feel like switching it around. The ghouls haven't been working for me that much lately. I lost quite a few games. So I've been trying Fiends, and they've been working pretty well. And so anyway, I'm going Fiends in this game. The build order I'm using is a relatively slow tech, but I like it because it lets me deal with harassment, and also means that I don't have to worry about getting a shot, because by the time I go to creep, I'll have 3 Fiends, so I won't really need those skeletons. And what it does is it lets me get my hero and 3 Fiends, and then I tech, and then I get more ghouls to kind of balance out the wood production. Now this is a fairly long game, and it's going to switch to more than just Fiends, as you'll see. And I do have to admit, I end up going quite a few A-bombs, and my micro is pretty bad with them. Let me tell you. So I apologize for that in advance. But there is some good Fiend micro early on, and then I screw up, but it's all good. Now, I'm just going to turn off Fog of War for a second. And my plan here is I'm not going to try to scout him. When you're going Fiends against Orc, and I've learned this through raw experience, you don't really want to engage them until you have level 3 Death Knight for the level 2 coil with your Fiends. So my plan here is basically let him come try and harass me, do whatever he wants. And I'm just going to creep as quickly as possible, and you know, by the time I hit level 3, hopefully I'll know the location of his base or have a general idea of what he's doing. Even if he's teching, there's nothing I can really do until I get level 3, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm just, you know, I don't really want to risk anything. So I'm just going to get to level 3 and then go to his base and see if I can't kill some units and stuff. That's basically my game plan here, and just go from there. You know, get to tier 2, get statues and Lich. Try and push into his base, and if not, tech to tier 3, get a counter. Usually I like to do worms, but in this case, he's going to mass berserkers, so abominations are probably a better choice. So now my Death Knight's out. He's being a little bit rash, I suppose. As you'll see, I'm going to creep my immediate creep expansion thing, but he's creeping it. So I just go ahead and snag that turtle with the coil. So he hasn't really accomplished anything here. He got the item, but he's got his grunt hurt, and he hasn't really been creeping at all. And it's good for me, because I've, you know, basically he's wasted time, and I just get the full creep set. So good play on my part. I wouldn't really recommend for the Orc player to do this. I guess he didn't know that my base was there, maybe, I'm not sure. But if he knew my base was there, it was clearly not a good idea. It's not a good idea to just go creeping right outside the Undead base. It can be a bit risky. I'm getting 4 ghouls here simply to speed up my woodwork. So by the time I hit tier 2, I'll have 600 or 700 gold, and then I can take ghouls off wood if necessary, or whatever. And what's also nice about all that is that with the fiends, it goes right to 50 out of 50 food. So it can't really hurt to get that extra ghoul. You can always use them as meat later on, and I can afford it. So if I was losing units, I wouldn't get that 4th ghoul, but that's kind of why I get it. So my goal is, by the time I hit tier 2, to have 5 or 6 fiends and 50 food enabled and the Tomb of Relics up. So it's pretty straightforward. I really like this build actually. This is what I do in 2s usually at this point. Just getting these buildings up, and it's pretty easy to do really. Now the big thing you have to watch out for is orcs trying to tower you, and that is clearly, in case I haven't mentioned that like a million times already, that is one thing that's going to beat me. If you get faced up against me and your orc, tower me, dude, because you're going to crush me. Even if I kill your towers, I don't know, I'm just not good at dealing with them particularly. The key to the towering, the number one thing that, to really help you out is to catch them as they're going up. And the nice way to do this is to just place ziggurats at the edge of your blight or near trees. And although this makes them more vulnerable, it can really save you the game if the orc towers your ziggurat and not your base. And it buys you a lot of time. But I'm kind of forgetting to do that here. So ideally those, you'll see if you look on my gold mine, I've got 3 ziggurats. I should have just had that 1 Rubian tower for anti-harassment, and the other 2 ziggurats should have gone on the, if you look at my Tomb of Relics, directly west of that at the edge of my blight next to the trees, and the other one northwest of the crypt on the edge of my trees. And that way I get a little bit of extra vision, at least to help out. So now I've got level 3, and I'm actually liking the fact that I got these rejuvenation potion things. Although they're pretty bad, they're letting me get all my mana back, so I can creep very quickly. And now that I've hit level 3, I can have a nice amount of mana and go right at my opponent. So I checked that north of where I was creeping, and I figured he's not there. And then I was like, okay, he was creeping my creeps so early. Clearly, he's right next to me. So I'm going to his base now. I'm going to see what he's got. At this point, also, I've hit tier 2, so it's a good time to attack to let me get my tier 2 buildings up. So now I'm just trying to focus fire grunts. So see, I pick out the grunts with alt, and then I look at what he's focus firing, and I just pull back the fiend that he's focus firing, and I just keep trying to focus grunts. Now at this point I'm doing a good job with the support of coil, but once I lose coil, in case I didn't imply it, I guess, you can't fight the orc without coil. Now you see, I'm doing a good job of dancing back my fiends and keeping them alive and continuing to focus fire, but without the coil I'm going to start losing them. So my point here is you don't want to fight the orc in this kind of situation without the coil. With the coil, you do very well. It's very hard for the orc to kill your units with coil, but without it, it's very easy for the orc to kill your units. And gets a lot harder for you to kill theirs. So what I really should have done is just pulled back after I'd killed those couple grunts. So unfortunately, that means I lose a couple fiends. So it's not good micro on the second half of that battle on my part. Now here, I'm just trying to delay until I can get mana to heal that fiend up right there. I'm trying to get him to attack my death knight, but he doesn't want to. But clearly, no, I didn't need to let that fiend go. So that's what I was doing there. Now once I get the Lich here, he's already got a second hero, so it's not going to be as useful. But especially if you can out-tech the orc in that aspect, and you can have that level 2 coil plus the Nova, it can be very, very deadly for the Farseer. You can really get the orc to back off. At this point, he's producing headhunters, and I don't know, fiends clearly are not the best option against headhunters. So I would say, clearly I need to keep producing units or he's going to overrun me. Fiends are not necessarily the best option though. The best thing to do in my mind at this point would be to stop producing fiends, tech right to tier 3, put up a second slaughterhouse, and just kind of not engage him if possible until tier 3, and then start producing abominations. And along with that, research destroyers so that I can deal with bloodlust and stasis traps and so on. But that's not really what I'm doing here. I'm deciding I want to do the typical undead 50 food, fiends, 2 heroes, 2 statues thingamajig. So that's what I'm doing. It's clearly very risky for me to be creeping where I'm creeping. But I do have a TP, so I'm just kind of relying on that. These turtles are really, really good creeps to creep, especially with fiends. with ghouls, they're terrible. I mean, I lose ghouls all the time, and there's nothing you can do because of the chaos damage ones. They always focus fire the weak ghoul. But with fiends, they're very easy to creep, and already I've got a level up on him, so I'm doing good in terms of the creeping. I think I don't know. I mean, he's definitely doing a good job. There's nothing really I can criticize of what he's doing. He's just, you know. So anyway, I'm just continuing to try to do my thing here. Focus firing units, pulling back fiends. You know, the micro's pretty simple. But clearly with that Tauren Chieftain in the middle and all those headhunters, I don't really have much to focus fire on. So now would be a real nice time to stop producing fiends. Although I'm just still going, and I'm finally going to tier 3, and just, you know, I need those units. There's nothing I can do really. I'm just trying to get him to back off here, like continuing to coil his chiefs. It's not really doing much, but he's kind of almost done something good for me in that I don't really want those fiends anymore. I mean, I guess I do because I'm building more of them, but that Kodo beast really helps me out, and also later when he devours abominations, I mean, it gives me vision of where his army is for 2-3 minutes. And the key with these Kodo beasts, they're very good. You know, you can take out a unit straight away, but you do not want to have them following around your army, because I can see, if you have Fog of War on, as I do, you can see very clearly. First of all, I can see exactly what he's building his base. I see where his base is, and all that, and I know exactly where his army is. So I know that I can go creep safely, or I can expand safely, or whatever. And it's essentially like having a map pack. So, you know, I can see he's just sitting there in his base, and you see also I just got off some spells that I should not have been able to get off across that tree line. And the reason I mean, it's not a great idea necessarily to be continuing to nuke this Tauren Chieftain because it's so easy for him to heal him up, but I'm just trying to get him to keep sitting in his base because I can't fight him at this point. I need to buy myself time. So I'm just nuking that Tauren Chieftain in the hopes that he'll sit in his base, healing it up, which is exactly what he's doing. It might have been a better idea to just nuke a Grunt or a Headhunter, which I could have killed, but that's not what I did. So as you see, I've thrown up a second slaughterhouse now, and I'm just waiting for the Citadel to finish. Trying to buy myself more time. Clearly the counter to his army is just mass abominations. I mean, it's going to kill just about everything he's made. I see he's got raiders, and I don't feel like fighting him at this point, so I just put the town portal on my Lich so he can't net it and kill it, and TP out. I've gotten to tier 3, I've accomplished my objective, and now I'm just going to start producing abominations. Now that I know he's off of my back, kind of. Well, I don't, but I think he is. So I see my Death Knight's pretty close. You know, he's getting on level 5. So I'm just going to try and get my heroes to 5-3, creeping as much as possible, and just turn out the abominations. So that's my plan at this point. Now you see where that Ziggurat is placed now? A little farther out might have been better, but that's what I was talking about before, is anti-towering. If you place that out at the edge, especially this late in the game, it's very useful in that you can sacrifice the Ziggurat. Earlier in the game, it's a little more vulnerable. But and you can see what I've done here is I hit that whole creep camp, but I backed up a little bit. Like I didn't go in, and that, I'm sure everybody knows this, but that pulled the Ogre Magi out, which drops the Watcher Ward, which means that I get the Watcher Ward in the, I get much more vision on it, and I can see a lot more with it. And I'm sure all of you knew that, but just thought I'd mention it. Something you should always do is pretty easy, pretty useful. You know, it's just extra vision. So anyway, you can see how easily I'm just tearing through these creeps. I mean, they're very quick to creep, very easy to creep, and they give lots of experience and good items. And by the time I've crept down one of these turtles, my DK is going to be a real tank already. He's got Gauntlets of Strength, Rune Bracers, and Talisman of Evasion, so he's going to be hard to kill. And you know, I'm not going to be lacking in a tanking hero, although I'm getting the abominations. But my Death Knight's going to be able to take a lot of punishment, despite the fact I did not choose Death Pact. I'm not even going to need it necessarily. So now I've got level 3 on the Lich. Now I want to get my Death Knight to 5 because I don't know when I'm going to engage him. So I'm just pulling the Lich away to let the Death Knight get all the experience, which will mean, hopefully will mean that he will get that 5 a bit quicker. And I'm thinking at this point about engaging my opponent when I hit level 5, so that I've got that high level Nova Coil and I've got a decent number of abominations at this point. So I've got him countered pretty much as far as I'm concerned. But I'm going to make a big mistake when I engage him, which is that I focus everything on the Tauren Chieftain, and let me tell you that is not a good idea. You want to focus the hero that is not the tanking hero. And I look later on, and like, I don't know, you guys will see it. We'll see in a minute. But I mean, if you see a hero with, you know, items and potions and stuff, nuking that is just, you'd think I would know better than that, that's all. Alright, so now I've got level 5, and I'm thinking maybe he's got an expansion, although he doesn't. But a key thing here is that I go into his base and I see a whole bunch of things at once. First off, I see his Berserker, so I figure I kill it. Bam, dead, wasted toil, but oh well. Now I see his Tauren Chieftain, I see it's not in a great position, but it, you know, and I see it's only got 900 hit points, but what I'm not seeing is that it's got a healing potion, a ring protection +4, and rune bracers. So focusing that Tauren Chieftain is absolute death for me. Not to mention he's surrounding me on all sides. Now you also see he's got this Ogre Magi, so that tells me he's crept out the 2 o'clock position. So I should check that for an expansion as soon as possible. So I'm just continuing to nuke the Tauren Chieftain. I'm going to kill it, but I mean, he's basically killed my whole army. And now I need to get out of there. Now if you click on his Farseer here, you see it had 700 HP, nothing else buffing it. It would have been a real easy kill. I could have just walked in, nuked it a couple times. Made my life a whole lot easier. But at this point he's just massing Berserkers. So what I really need to do is just mass abominations. And in order to counter those casters, I'm going to need a few destroyers. And most importantly, however, is just to make sure he doesn't expand. Now at this point, I mean, I really thought I lost the game. That was a pretty big deal, basically trading my army for a hero. But now you see here, which really helps me, is he's got abominations in the Kodos. And whoop-de-doo, that means I'm going to know where his army is for like a few minutes at least. And that means that I'm going to be able to creep freely, and that means that Lich is going to hit 5 sometime soon. Now, as if you're the Orc player and you see your opponent's got this nuking combination, believe me, it's much better to forego getting those 2 extra Berserkers and put 2 potions of healing on your heroes. I mean, keeping your heroes alive wins you the game, really. It's as simple as that. So I think it's really a mistake on his part to not be putting potions on his Farseer. Because it's just such an easy target for me, clearly. So at this point I'm thinking about expanding. I figure I can kind of take him, I kind of can't, but I also figure he's expanded at this point. I look at his army, I see pretty big army here. If we turn off Fog of War, he's not actually expanded, but I'm sure he will soon. So I'm figuring he's expanded, just kind of assuming, and I'm figuring it's a good idea to try and counter expand. So that's what I'm doing here. Plus it's a good creep camp for me to get Bloodlust and keep creeping. Now this Death Knight is a real tank now. You take a look at this. 1250 hit points, 10 armor, Talisman of Evasion, Rune Bracers, Ring of Regeneration. I mean that's a real nice tank right there. And that's kind of why I've stopped bothering with the Crypt Lord, because the Death Knight has all the, Crypt Lord has these bad things. And the one thing he's got over the Death Knight really is that he's got this real nice tank, but I don't know, if you just buy the right stuff for your Death Knight. I mean, you don't even need to pick up the items. You can just keep buying surplus of whatever the hell they're called, nobility, and you're looking at a real powerful hero. And you see, he's putting everything on his Tauren Chieftain. Thing is, I'm not going to make the same mistake twice, hopefully, which means I'm going to be like, okay, I'm not going to nuke the Tauren Chieftain at the outset of the battle with those damn Rune Bracers. I'm just going to nuke the Farseer, 625 hit points. And we're looking at, one nuke and it's down. Now again, I can see where his entire army is. And I just lost sight of him, but I know that I'm pretty much cleared to take a whack at him, I suppose. So that's kind of my plan here, is to hit level 5 on the Lich and then just keep controlling his expansions and see what I can do, really. So I'm just prancing around. I mean, what I really should notice is that I've got basically mass A-bombs, and he's got all those Witch Doctors. I'm going to need destroyers, and I've been smart and I've gotten the destroyer upgrade, but I don't really have any statues to turn into destroyers, unless I don't want to have statues healing my army. So I should probably get a couple more statues at this point. Now here I'm pulling my Death Knight out so my Lich can hit level 5, and I also figure I may as well scout a couple things out with him, so I'm just going to pull him out. Notice I've also put a Scroll of Town Portal on my Death Knight, and that's simply because I'm just going so far away from my base. I don't really want to risk anything. So I'm not really watching my creeping here, it's not important. Nothing's dying outright. So I'm just, looking around with my Death Knight and then coming back. My expansion is getting hit. I figure he knows where my expansion is. I may as well just stop it right now, which is not necessarily the best idea. But he could have actually killed it with those Shadow Wolves, so I just figure I may as well just cancel it and not bother. So at this point, I figure I'm pretty much good to go. I'm like, okay, I'm closing in on 80 food, closing in on that level 5, and look, there's his army. So I'm going to go ahead and engage him at this point. And again, he's got everything on that Torrent Chieftain, and so that's not what I want to hit. Now what I'm doing here is I'm moving all my abominations in among the Troll Berserkers as best as I can. A-clicking with my destroyers, and lucky me, he just cast Scroll of Protection right after I made my destroyers. That means full mana on all my destroyers, which means that awesome orb. And at this point I'm just nuking the Farseer as I said I would. Not even focusing him, just focusing with the destroyers and hitting him with Nova and Coil. I'll even let him get away as long as he's out of the battle. And whenever I see wards, I'm trying to devour them as quickly as possible. And clearly my Abomination micro is really just atrociously bad in this. You can see he's doing very well with his Berserkers as he's focusing each one. But he's lost his hero, and he's lost all his raiders and a lot of his key units. And I now have level 2, level 5, level 3 Nova, level 3 Coil nuke. So, and he's lost his hero. So although I'm at a disadvantage in that I lost my army, I'm at a real advantage hero-wise. Now at this point is where the game gets real risky, because I didn't get that expansion up before when I needed it. And if you turn off Fog of War though, he didn't either. So we're looking at no expansion versus no expansion. And that's really good for me actually, because I've got statues, or do I? I can build statues, I'm building a statue now. And I could just walk in and just kill off his unit. So if we're talking about a war of attrition here, which we kind of are, I'm going to win it, like almost undoubtedly. As long as we regulate each other's expansions. So I've got enough money, I'm going to expand in 2 places, hoping that one of them gets up. And just trying to keep him busy. Notice also I unsummoned that Sacrificial Pit, which I built to get Frostworm, so there's no point in that. And I unsummoned some Ziggurats, because I figure I'm not going to be going over 50 food anytime soon, and I need the money. So not necessarily a bad idea. And also I got this meat wagon here, not really sure why. I guess just because I want a little bit of extra damage and to hit the casters. I think in general siege units auto-acquire casters. I'm not sure about that, but I think they do. So it's real good for taking out those casters, which I was having a little problems with. So that's kind of why I just threw that in there. So there we go, I've dual expanded, and now I'm thinking he's had his expansion up for a long, long time. Because, I just let him, I haven't even scouted it. But clearly if there's one place he was going to put it, it's probably there, since that's hardest to kind of get to, and it's also, I knew he crept it. But he's only gotten like 500 gold out of it. So, and I can see exactly where his army is, thanks to those Kodos. So I know that I'm safe to keep hitting this expansion. And as soon as he gets close, I can just run away. Although I'm thinking I may as well engage him because I can just kill units so quickly, and I've got enough for 2-3 rounds of Nova Coil, and that's enough to really take out a lot of his units. Now here, he separated his army. That's a really bad idea. I don't know what he was thinking, and that means a couple free kills for me. And at this point, the game's kind of like turning around, as I expected it would, in that we're talking about a war of attrition here, in that we're just trading off units. But I'm the one who's got the nuke, and he's just got not nuke. So that means that I'm kind of winning. We can both kill each other's armies, or expansions rather, but I'm just going to be able to keep killing his army, and I won't have to spend. What I could just do is just run around with my Death Knight by himself, maybe the Lich too, and just run around and kill his heroes. Now he's being real stupid here. He put that Farseer out front. Never ever do that. That's just a free target there. And he's been smart. He pulled it back there, and luckily for him, I had no mana on my Death Knight. But if you ever see a hero out front like that, and it's not the Tauren Chieftain with a Health Stone, Rune Bracers, and a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability, that's a real nice target to go after. So at this point, I have no real mana on my heroes, and I'm kind of not fighting a great battle here, clearly. I'm just sacrificing units, but his Tauren Chieftain's getting low. Although that's not really doing much for me, since as I just said, I'm going to win if I pick off his units. That's what I said, but that's not what I'm doing because, well, I don't think this in-depth when I'm playing games, guys. Now there, I tried to devour, assuming he was going to attack with those wolves, but I did it just a little bit too early. And just going to slow him down and get out of here. Basically, at this point, I think I kind of realized it's a better idea to start picking stuff off. So I'm just kind of running away. Also, I've got an expansion, and he's building one, but it's not running. So at this point, if I just run around, I'm kind of getting an advantage as I run around. So now he's doing the right thing here. I don't know where he is, but he's going to turn up at my expansion any moment. Clearly, that's his top priority, is to stop me expanding. So I'm just going to kind of head that way, assuming he's going there. Not to mention there's a peon that's bugging me, so I just want to kill it. And I'm just building more statues now for more dispel and all that. And at this point, I actually have some money, so I can start countering his army. The counter to his army, from what I've got, really is Abominations, Destroyers, so that's what I'm going for. At this point, thanks to those, or not thanks to anything, well, I can see him, so I send my Destroyers to hit the two wards out there. So they're immediately gone, and then his hero is out front, although he's really in back, but this was out front, so I just nuke it straight away. And that's pretty much game over. Without his heroes, he can't do anything. And he knows it too. He's going for a last-ditch effort at my Death Knight here, but it doesn't even really matter. Now, right here, I'm like, okay, he's definitely going to stomp me, and as you saw, he stomped me. I should have really corrected his path. But lucky me, I picked up that Cloak of Shadows before, and let's call that the Cloak of Good Game, the Cloak of GG, and whoop, my Death Knight's gone. Guess who just won the game? Bam, bam, nuking him again, hide again. I think I won this, son. What you gonna now? What you gonna do now, boy? What you gonna do? Yeah. So anyway, nice little Nova there to finish him off, and I think we're looking at a game over, and he left the game. So anyway, hopefully you guys learned some cool stuff from that and saw the horrible abuse of the Undead Hero Nuke. I'm not going to say it should get patched because it's like my favorite thing in the game, and I hate to see what the most fun thing in the game to get ruined, but it's pretty hard for Orc to deal with, and I'll just leave it at that. So let me know what you guys thought. Look for some new commentaries with Ed coming up soon, and see you guys around.